Beck Hansen has been an artist that I've had an appreciation for since I first heard Where It's At in the late 90s. And when Midnight Vultures came out, actually, an old coworker at Borders Books and Music said rather curmudgeonly, and you can read a lot into this, that some of the music on Midnight Vultures was quote-unquote out-funking Prince at that time. And I definitely wouldn't agree with that, but the fact of the matter was, Beck always stayed on my mind. You know, he was a man whose music was deliberately uneven from album to album. He would do acoustic-oriented records that were often very ambient, and that would kind of describe his last album, Morning Phase. You know, it won some Grammys, but it was more psychedelic and ambient. When this album came out, he has this tendency, Beck, to release an acoustically textured album, or a quieter one, and something more electronic, sometimes hip-hop, sometimes dance-based, and often quite funky. And this album would appear to fit into the latter category. And the reason I get it on vinyl is that this is a special edition of this album on yellow vinyl, and I do intend to open it and listen to it. I'm going to try to get this closer so you can see it. Indie record store exclusive, limited edition cover, and yellow vinyl. Includes download card. And you can see in the middle it says Beck-Colors behind Beck's color wash face. And so what I'm going to do now with this album is I am going to take it and unbox it. Well, I don't know what the exact YouTube word for it is yet. Technically it's not an unboxing, considering that it's actually wrapped in plastic. There's no box involved. But there's the undone album, taken right out of the package. And there's an insert that comes with the album. And I don't know if you can see it in the video, but there are lyrics there. I can see it. And here's the official download card. And now let's take a look at the vinyl itself. The label is purple. When you take the vinyl out, it is clear yellow. There's the clear yellow vinyl. Let me take the whole thing out so I can show you. There's the flip side. And I'm going to actually put this album back and put it on my turntable and listen to it. And then I'm going to review it. And then I'm going to come back and tell you about the album. You know, right as I was listening to this album, I was cracking a lot of online reviews and just general public reviews about this particular album. And, you know, over the years, you know, there's been that old cliche, you know, critics, they don't know nothing. You know, you hear that all the time. But now you can actually hear what people who aren't critics think. And, you know, sometimes they don't really know a lot, and sometimes they do. And basically the impression that I got from this album was that Beck had basically made a pop record. But, you know, the first thing I noticed about this particular album is that Beck understands, you know, the song structure and constructivism of, you know, pre-millennial kind of music, you know, from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where you had verses and choruses and intros and bridges a lot of the times. You're not going to find any of the millennial whoop on this album. You know, it's not that kind of pop music. In fact, it relates stylistically and structurally a lot to the 1980s. I will definitely agree, and that's what got me involved in this album. And I'm going to kind of do a cut-by-cut rundown of how I feel about them. First, we have the title song. I mean, Colors is definitely a song that, you know, it reminds me of something ABC would do, like The Look of Love, a very stylized, new romantic kind of song. A lot of falsetto singing and different rangy qualities. And, you know, the same goes for the song Dreams and Up All Night. You know, having made my own music on GarageBand and, you know, seeing the effects you can use on that, you know, I can say now that, you know, Beck used a lot of flanger effects. And, you know, that's something that goes back to Odelay and the days of Where It's At, where everything sounds very distorted, like, you know, that's just an effect that Beck likes to use. You know, different vocal filters, and that's very present there. And, you know, songs like I'm So Free, No Distraction, and, you know, Square One, they all have sort of a ska, pop, almost a Police-like flavor. You know, they do have an 80s sound, but, you know, much more in that kind of vein. Dear Life, somebody described that as sounding very Beatlesque, and it does. It has that music hall, Carnaby Street, upbeat vibe to it, a lot of great, you know, melodic ideas. And the song Fix Me really ends the album in such a wonderful way because it has this dream pop quality, but, you know, the last album I got by Beck on CD and not on vinyl, Morning Phase, I wasn't that into it. You know, it just didn't really impact me. There wasn't enough vitality, and I know Beck can just deliver vitality like you wouldn't believe. Even if his voice sometimes drags on a bit and is kind of low-key, you know, his music always packs a punch, and that album was a little lukewarm that way, but on Fix Me, that ethereal quality just really works very well. And, you know, those are the songs on this album that really stand out to me in a big way. You also have numbers like No Distraction, which is pretty good too, you know, but wow, that sort of sounds more like an extension of the Odelay sound, kind of a modern hip-hop kind of structured song with that kind of flangered vocal effect again. So in the end, Colors is a really wonderful Beck album, and it has a lot of different colors. It isn't just one type of pop style. You know, it's very eclectic, which could be Beck's middle name, Beck Eclectic Hansen. That would make perfect sense. But, you know, seek it out. You know, you can hum it, you can get ideas from it, and it can send you off in different directions. You know, Beck himself said that this album is about, you know, different aspects of people being online a lot on their smartphones, and, you know, getting so much of a clutter of information on social media, and, you know, the idea that he doesn't know how it's going to impact people physically and neurologically, as he said. It's kind of like leaving the front door open all the time. So there's this enormity of different ideas coming into this album, and that's reflected in much of its lyrical content. So like I said, it's a lyrical adventure, it's a musical adventure, it's Beck. What more can I say? I suggest you go out and get it. It's a great new album from this year. And as far as my vinyl reviews and profiles on artists, I'll see you next time. Peace.